Hi, and welcome to Mercurius Being Astro Update. I am Amy, and I am here to run through the energies of Pluto moving into Aquarius, and then just a little snippet about Mars into Cancer. So Pluto moves into Aquarius on the 23rd, which is tomorrow, 7:13 a.m. Central Time. So again, this is the chart where I'm at, and I will post these charts. I didn't post the last video charts on my website, but I'll post the charts for today on the website. So we have Pluto moving into Aquarius tomorrow morning, and we've got a nice representation of Aries going on at the same time, and I'll just delve into a little bit of the aspects. And as you can tell, I'm still working through whatever's going on in my sinuses and my head and my throat, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm clearing out a lot of things. So I am curious if you are experiencing any of that as well. I think, as I talked about in the last video, a lot of old things kind of ending, or maybe I did that in the card pull I did on Instagram, I'm not sure, but endings and beginnings. And as I said, Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and this isn't going to be maybe like an overnight, like, da-da, you know, the gates of heaven open and we see all the signs and symbols. But this is going to be a little bit of take note at what happens starting tomorrow, the 23rd. So it's 3/23 of 2023, and I love that, those numbers. And so Pluto will stay in Aquarius from then until June 11th, and then it backs up into Capricorn. So it goes back into Capricorn until next January 21st of 2024, stays in Aquarius from January 2024 till September of 2024, backs up for just a couple months back into Capricorn, and then it firmly moves into Aquarius for the next 20 years, but that will be November 20th of 2024. So from this point of March 23rd, 2023 until November 20th, 2024, we're going to be kind of seeing the ending of Pluto in Capricorn. And part of this that's significantly raised its little head, not so little head, kind of the head of the Hydra, right, is the banking issues, banking crises. The SVB and Signature banks. Anyway, so that was that, and the housing market crisis of 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. So we could see housing things, banking things, all of that occurred back in 2008. Over the next year and a half, we'll see those issues kind of come back and see, have we dealt with them effectively? What lessons did we learn? What do we need to do before Pluto firmly moves into Aquarius? So watch that, watch what other symbols and signs come up, and I'll go through some other ones here. And I just was also thinking of small banks versus big banks. Venus in Taurus is conjunct the North Node. It's a couple degrees away. It was more exact just the other day, obviously, in my earlier video. But still that idea of, I was thinking big banks versus small banks, your resources, right? And having that energy of the care and hands-onness that you can have of your own resources in banking, or however you keep your money. But just thinking about the difference really of small banks and big banks. And I know that personally, I know people in small banking, and they have to follow the dictates and the criteria that's set out for them. Really to the letter, or they cannot do business, and that's the way it's been since 2008, you know, and obviously that's a good thing, but even people they knew and personally could vouch for, they had to do a lot of shifting and declining and changing the way they do business, because even if you know that person and you know they're good for the money, they couldn't lend to them because of the new lending principles and dictates. So these smaller organizations have had to really cross their T's and dot their I's. And again, that's a good thing. But are we going to see that the bigger institutions have really done that? Okay, because the bigger banks are the ones that failed, right? And the bigger banks are the ones that got the bailout. That wouldn't happen to your local little bank. No one would bail them out. And I think that's a question that's also being raised at this time. I just heard a congressperson on the news the other day. I was listening to the radio, public radio, and I can't remember where they were from. I only heard a little part of it, but they were really talking about that. Will your deposits in small banks, will small banks be supported like the big banks are? Anyway, so I'm just bringing that up. That might be another topic that comes up in this next year and a half, and to bring some closure to that issue and just to bring some more information and again, see where we're at with that. All right, back again. I'm sorry, might have to pause a little bit to take a drink of tea. Anyway, so excuse my whatever this is going on. So moving from that, that's kind of my little intro, moving back to the chart itself and just talking about the amount of Aries. And I guess I have brought this up, Aries from the sun, all at 2 degrees, Aries to the moon at 26. We've got Mercury, Chiron, Jupiter, and then the moon in Aries, and Neptune inspiring in Pisces, inspiring this ingress. So much Aries energy in this chart really for me gives a push and a vote toward the individual. Okay, so Aries is that individuating energy, and I just talked a ton about that in my last videos, so go backwards and check that out. And I'll talk a little bit about Mars in Cancer after we're through with Pluto and Aquarius. But a lot of the Pluto in Aquarius energy is going to be about the individual and the collective, because the Aquarius energy is a lot about being an individual, being your unique self, but really being part of the collective. How can you honor the rights of the individual in the collective? It's a call to individual power, your individual responsibility, and the authority you have as an individual, and the collective power, the collective responsibility, and the collective authority. And this time, over the next 20 years, is really going to see a lot of rebuilding around structures that benefit humanity. Okay? So I'm going to pause here just a second before I go into the rest of this and just do a couple sprays. So I just was feeling like wearing white today, and I grabbed the Archangel Metatron Angelic Celestial Colors white spray. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of the white spray. So I really want to keep my energy clear. And the Archangel Zadkiel, it's purple, so I'm feeling that Aquarius 5, but Zadkiel is transformative, and it's also about forgiving, and so that energy is really going to be important as we move forward collectively. And then the last spray I grabbed was the Cosmos, so I'm just going to give myself a little bit of spray. And the cosmos energy is one that we're drawing down in Aquarius, in the sign of Aquarius. It's really a flow, and Aquarius acts like that. It's that segment of the heavens where we are receiving the pranic or electrical waters and being inspired. And what do we do with this inspiration? Hopefully, we again inspire ourselves, become our best selves and our most unique selves, and then hopefully we can honor everyone else's uniqueness and individuality, and gosh geez, well, let's all come together and form a wonderful society. So that's where I'm going to kind of go with this. So, and that's okay, because there are potentials and there are shadows to this, but it's my video and I can focus on the potentials more than the shadows if I want to. All right, and I'll put a link with those sprays in the information below. So Aquarius, again, is a lot about that flow. It's the pranic water, it's the water bearers. So it's always depicted as, you know, the urn and the water flowing out. But again, the zigzag lines of Aquarius are really electrical in nature. So it's effervescent and, you know, again, very much akin to technology and quick insight and lightning bolt inspiration, but things that break up. Again, it breaks up stagnation. And you can go back to my Aquarius videos to talk more about the physical associations with Aquarius or anything else down the Aquarius lane. This is really, again, going to be about inspired cooperation, Pluto moving into Aquarius. So this is potential. Coming together for the well-being of all. Equality, freedom, autonomy. So this is going to give us a really great chance to look at what structures we are creating within our own lives and collectively. Who benefits from these structures? Can we benefit? And can also have other people, a majority of other people benefit? Can we create to benefit not only for the majority, but all people? Like, these are big asks, I know, okay? But hey, let's aim high while we're here, right? No, I'm gonna aim mid-level. You know, that's my aspiration for this lifetime. Just solid 5, right? No, we're gonna solid 11. Aquarius is the 11th sign. Let's go for 11, just like in Spinal Tap. We'll turn it up to 11, not even 10. So are we creating for the common good? And how can we take care of each other? And like that care about each other, that doesn't sound very Aquarius either. But that's the thing, we're creating social groups and political groups and humanitarian groups and organizations that can care for people. So shadow aspects, Aquarius is a fixed sign. Fixed energy of rightness, like I might be a little more right than you, or absolute truth. Pluto is a lot about absolutes, no variations, this or that, black or white. We could be looking at more dehumanizing aspects of the shadow Pluto in Aquarius, technocracy, the use of information, the use of censorship. Currently, as you all know, there's only a handful of corporations that own all of the news organizations in the world. So how much, you know, wide band of news do we really receive? And the news that we do receive, or anything we see digitally or otherwise, what is true, how easy it is to be manipulated, how easy even images are to be manipulated, voices and likenesses. So we're moving into a lot about freedom, individual freedom again, versus the needs of the collective. Or perhaps are we looking at the illusion of freedom? We're told that we're free, but how free are we? Looking at equality, really how equal are we? Looking at the distribution of wealth and resources in our world. Is it really super equal? Probably not, right? Technology, again, is it used for the best and highest? Is it used to manipulate? Reality or projected reality? What are we agreeing to? Okay, and I have to jump ahead to my notes here because I've got more pages of notes than you'd like to hear, or I'd like to admit. Okay, so again, with technology and some of the shadow aspects and just the things to think about human nature, biology and technology, we're already seeing great advances in these areas, but establishing standards and codifying that the use of technology and biology is all above board, digitization, and really coming back to, again, human nature. What does it mean to be human, and how do we define that? And now moving into the energy of Pluto, brings to the surface things we have to deal with. You can't avoid them. It is the energy of transmutation and transformation. It's the energy of death and rebirth. It's dying to the old, but being born into the new. It's that phoenix energy. Pluto can be painful. It can be expulsive, like giving birth or a pimple on your body. But this needs to happen. It just needs to get rid of what, like what's going on with me, whatever this is, it needs to come out. Okay, it's raw, it's honest, it's alive, it's truth. It's not pleasant, but it's real. But it's pleasant in the fact that it is real, okay? It asks for an ego death and a reordering of perception and personality based on a depth within. Like the who are you when you are stripped of all you know? Who are you when you face yourself, all of yourself, the shadow and the light? Pluto takes you to the threshold and your threshold. And who are you at that threshold? Is that the best you that you like to see? Or are you threshold avoidant? Sorry, I get a kick out of myself. I didn't even write that down. But there is no fronting with Pluto. Okay, you can't be threshold avoidant. You have to go. Just like giving birth. I know, yeah, there's that moment where you're like, do I really want to do this? And like, yeah, you have to do it. There's no turning back. That moment was a long 9 months ago, right? So power, there's a lot of power behind this. It's a power and force that you can't stop because it's going to come forward. So it's about owning that power. It's about acknowledging it, that we all have that power. So there's that thing too, right? There's the people who love having power and they have no problem using it. And there's people that we all have power. We all have a lot of power. And I think that's the other big psych out again, is feeling powerless. So there are those of us that are a little more power avoidant, afraid of using our power, okay? So it's a lot about Pluto is coming into the right use of power and who holds the power. It's also being aware of the subconscious mind, so sub, under, beneath, behind, consciousness, so knowing or privy to. Subconscious mind is like a secondary mind or a barrier or a filter. So it kind of stores information that's not presently in focus. So it's kind of back there. So just watching your mind and bringing as much of your subconscious mind into your awareness. So allowing yourself to feel it, and then think about what you're feeding your subconscious mind. What are you suppressing? And what are you stuffing down? And just knowing that all of that will be expulsed at some point, or can be fodder for manipulation. Okay, so again, it's about owning all of ourselves, right? Just owning it, knowing what's there, and having access to that power. It's like a generator within us that each of us have that we're not tapping into. All right, I'm going to flip back into Aquarius now. So liberty, freedom, equality. Last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was April 4th of 1775. It went in during the French, American, and Industrial Revolutions. So a lot about change, a lot about flow, a lot about people's rights and uniqueness, again, of the individual. Again, the collective. It could be a little game, how many times I say individual and collective during this. How do we form a better working group, again, comprised of awakened and empowered individuals? How can we create change? Grassroots organizations, humanitarian organizations, political and social reform. And how best can you as yourself, with your own gifts and talents, contribute to this? It doesn't mean, you know, we all have to pick up politics or, you know, different organizations. They'll speak to you. Your contribution will come from your individuality. Okay, so using your own uniqueness to contribute to the whole and accepting other people's gifts and contributions as part of the whole. So the shadow of these organizations and this coming together would be kind of the Orwellian thought police. David Sedaris quote about the last few years, starting with the Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius in 2020, kind of that energy of being the golden age of the tattletale, where individual choices decided by collective, the feeling of being outed if you think differently. So just kind of this trial run, perhaps, of, you know, what would happen with imposed guidelines, imposed pressure, social pressure. So just, we're going to be dancing that dance, okay? So we need to learn the steps, and we need to get into rhythm with ourselves first, and then respectfully in step with the rhythms and the dance with others. I'd like to move into words, information, images, which are more Piscean. We still have Neptune and Pisces, via the media, electronics, which is Aquarius. And all of these things, words, information, images, are all very ripe for manipulation, power, and control. And again, the use of that to control the subconscious mind. So do not fall asleep in front of the television. Don't mindlessly do anything. I know these are, like I said, these are big guidelines, right? We're number 11 people, right? Guidelines for myself as well. So you need to be on it, honey. That's part of this, being in control of yourself. Again, refer back to the Mars Aries video. Show up as your best and strongest self, and be a participant in the society that you want to create. Question authority, question everything, and follow the money. Look at all the sources you can, but mostly look to yourself and your inner knowing. Create a grounded practice based in nature. Something like, I can visually see the sky. So today the sky is gray, the sky is cloudy. Actually, the sky looks a little like my shirt. I can see that. Nobody has to tell me that. I can physically go out and experience that. I can feel the ground underneath me. And right now the ground is soft. I'm sitting on a blanket. I feel that. I feel my sit bones. I feel very rooted. I feel very even. I am experiencing that. That is true for me right now. I can smell the air is fresh. Well, I can't really smell that much right now, but you know where I'm getting at. And I can hear the sounds of the birds, the air, the wind in the trees, the traffic. These are all things that I can actually experience. Okay, so listening into yourself, listening into your own knowing, and then connect and listen with other people and to other people in real time, sharing real space, discuss, debate, listen, and speak. Share about what you want to create individually, but also what your vision is for the world. And listen to what their vision is for the world. And please release judgment and wrongness and either or thinking. And I know, you guys, I know I'm going big, but these are, hey, this, if we're going to go Pluto and Aquarius, right? this is probably my manifesto then, right? This is what I want to create. A world without judgment and wrongness, you know? But really, right? Come together to find solutions rather than to criticize differences. We all know those people, right? I'm not judging them, but I'm just saying, you know, and we all fall into that. Well, if they did this and if they did that and rah, rah, rah. Right. They do it if they could. They do it if they had the idea. But how about we think about solutions and we bring solutions into the conversation rather than problems and differences. We're all on the same team, people. We are all on the same team. And if you think that those in power are right, left, whatever, this, that, etc., you are sorely mistaken. Those in power are on the same team, showing us different faces, kind of like, darling, do you want to decorate in red or blue? It's the same decorator, right? It's just the colors are the changing facade. So look behind the decorated curtain, like in The Wizard of Oz, you know, pay no mind to the man behind the curtain. No, yes, do pay mind. It's all a thing. The people in power are in power. So don't feel like there's this division based on, like I said, this or that, right, left, duality. We're on the same team. We are all powerful. Also from The Wizard of Oz, you had the power all along, my dear. Okay? So again, we are all teammates. I'm a teammate with someone in Russia and Central America and, you know, Bora Bora. You know, we're all on the same team. Okay? We're all playing different positions and contributing our part. But let's all connect to our own power source, connect to our own power, and see ourselves clearly and honestly, and just accept it all. Accept all of each of ourselves. And through that acceptance, we become more whole, and we enter any and all connections from that sense of wholeness. We see and accept others more clearly. We look into their wholeness and see their best potential. And we speak toward that. Let's become each other's leading edge. So that would be super high Aquarius. Aquarius is all about the leading edge. You know, let's become each other's leading edge. And then let's let the next person take the leading edge, just like the geese flying, right? It's like, oh, it's your turn to take that leading edge. And trusting that vision that we're all creating together. Okay, I think that's kind of the Pluto and Aquarius part wrapped up. And I'm just going to move a little bit into Mars into Cancer. I guess I did have a few things about the aspects, but I might come back for another video with that. I was looking at a little bit of the areas of the heavens where all the planets that are aspecting this are, and they really just point to, I guess I'll just touch on it. You're like, no, not more. So the area of the heavens where Pluto is, you know, is about the ability to pull together many divergent resources and make them work for a common purpose. Wisdom here has to be through life experiences, and I'll link where these are from. These are from some Vedic astrologers. The aspect Pluto has to the sun, the area of the heaven where the sun is in, is about making peace with the loss and the destruction of the old and being ready to transform. There's a lot about being really rooted into the bottom of the sea, really rooted into the earth, and looking up to the top of the sky at the same time, so above and below. The aspect that Pluto has to Mars is a lot about nourishing and enjoying life and tasting ecstatic joy. So really being present and being here physically and being a part of this, okay? Kind of searching, constantly roaming and searching. Excuse me. Okay, back again. The aspect that Pluto has to the moon and also the North Node speaks a lot to the connection, really, of healing power and creative power in its latency, transitioning from the darkness to light and heralding a new dawn. The aspect from Pluto to the South Node is a lot about individuality and self-actualization, developing an ego that is integrated into the divine whole. That which makes us unique and individual are part of the whole universe. So even as we express as an individual and an individual ego, that too is part of it all. So I really liked that because it kind of gave space to the fact that, you know, be yourself and work your ego and work your individuality, but knowing that you're playing your part in the all of it by doing that. Okay. So let's move on to just a little bit of Mars ingress into Cancer. And normally I don't necessarily do a whole, a lot about each planet moving into a new sign, but because Mars has been in Gemini for 7 months and it's finally moving into Cancer, but it's moving into Cancer, just 2 days after Pluto moves into Aquarius. And there's a solid inconjunct between, or a stress point between Pluto and Mars, and Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, so they have that relation. They're both, Mars is more about the individual power, willpower, and Pluto is about the collective power and groups of power. But also because we are in Aries season and the sun is only at 4 degrees Aries when Mars goes into Cancer, so we got a nice hot square there, which I also touched a little on in the Mars Aries videos. So not a lot has changed between the 25th and the 23rd for this chart. You can see that the moon has joined the planets in Taurus, so it's kind of moved out of the Aries realm. But it was funny when I did this, the notes for this, and a lot of it just kind of came through me. So this was definitely partially channeled through my guides. So whether that was Metatron or my Kriya Astro guides, but it was kind of like I just got this image. Well, the first thing with Mars and Cancer came up like tone your tummy, just tone your tummy, and I'm like, okay, like, well, that's kind of personal. No, but I know what it meant was take your navel. This is actually Uddiyana Bandha. So the bandha in yoga are locks. There's one at the base of the spine, Muladhara Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha at the navel, and the throat lock, the Jalandhara Bandha. So these are ways to lift energy up in the body. So tone your tummy, I went immediately to Uddiyana Bandha, which means flying upwards, and it's taking the navel and think of lifting it or drawing it in towards your spine and then lifting it up. So in toward the spine and then lifting it up, and you immediately kind of lift up your posture. And the same with the root lock, the Muladhara Bandha, is the pubic bone in front, the tailbone in back, and the sit bones on the side, and that forms a diamond. And you lift all 4 corners of the diamond up, and that's a lift. So just lifting your whole self up, lifting your spine up, and really being present in the world. Like, hey, I'm here, I'm standing as tall as possible, I'm showing up right, quote unquote. So be fully in yourself. Not only in control of yourself, but acting as your best agent and representative of yourself. Discern and consider and weigh matters, and think of becoming more active, not argumentative, but more effective. I also got the image of, kind of came through again, it was like, you know, snarky tweets aren't, what was it? Writing snarky tweets doesn't mean you're politically active or something to that effect. That just kind of popped into my head, and it's like, is that really effective? You know, no, it's more of the blame game instead of being effective and active and assertive and using your energy. All right, and then with the Mars and Cancer energy, just being aware. There is a square to Neptune. Again, it's separating, it's 4 degrees, but I just want to keep kind of pushing into that energy of individuality and assertiveness and agency that we all have. And with Neptune in Pisces, which on the, again, the upper scale, the higher scale, is the unity consciousness and the big vision. But on a personal level, not allowing it to erode us. Don't melt into other people's visions for you or your future or the future. Actively help craft the future that you'd like to see and experience. Mars moving into Cancer is a little hot water. It's like a little like Mars doesn't exactly know what to do because it's watery and it's a lot about feelings, and you know, Cancer's a sign of the crab, and it can be a little overly sensitive or a little snippy or a little protective with Mars moving through it. But again, so as Mars is feeling its way in there, really trying to keep your individuality again, and don't allow yourself to fall into these Neptune and Pisces energies when there's a square, Mars square Neptune and Pisces at this ingress of the numbing, of the dulling, of chemicals, of sugar, of too much television, of checking out, of too much gaming, or even simply wishful thinking, or I'm just going to stay on my meditation mat and what world, I'm just going to meditate. It's great here. It is great here on the meditation mat, but you also have to be part of the wonderful world that we're in and contribute that energy. So not to check out, be a part of this. You're here for a reason, right? So coming back to, I'll just kind of wrap up with the Mars. Again, the heat of Mars, thinking of the bandhas, the lift, the standing up tall, the showing up right, the idea of tapas, which is a Sanskrit term to burn. It's about discipline and austerity. It also brought up the idea of tejas, which is illumination, another fiery aspect of Mars energy, and Agni, fire in the body and at the navel. Throughout the body, the many fires, but really housed at the navel. So again, sitting up strong and right and showing up for yourself, okay? So again, just as kind of an overview, looking behind the obvious, look past the manipulation, the obfuscation, and the knee-jerk reactions. Keep the high goal of Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, of unity consciousness, okay? And anything which divides or blames or pits one side against the other is the long arm of duality. And that keeps us in duality consciousness. And we really have an opportunity to go up to the next level. This will require balance, consideration, and compromise to find solutions. But can we strive toward win-win solutions? Do we have the capacity as a society to truly become more altruistic? Can we make choices which will benefit more people, greater numbers, which will elevate the well-being of us all? Because if more people win, we really do all win. And I I will leave you with that, and I will see you next time. Namaste.